Salutations, dear viewers. This is George from Ireland. In this video, I'm going to explain why Scotland leaving the United Kingdom is even less likely than before. And I made a video on a similar theme a few months ago. But it reminds me of Napoleon III's words that no one can resist an idea whose time has come. And the idea of Scotland leaving the UK, that idea's time has gone. There was a fairly good chance for the separatists a few years ago, but it's not going to occur now. And the real salient reason, things very pertinent right now, is because this soft Brexit has been provisionally agreed. We'll look at the longer term picture. The SNP's popularity is slipping. They polled 50% of the vote in 2015, and then 45% the next year, and 37% this year. It's not a foregone conclusion that their share of the vote will tumble next time, but it probably will. It's very unlikely to go up to 50% again. In Labour's glory days, they occasionally touched 50%, such as 20 years ago. Bear in mind, Scots politics was more of a three-horse race back then than a four-horse race now. So the SNP defied political gravity for quite a long time. We all know what goes up must come down. Nicola Sturgeon's standing is going down. If you look at her approval ratings, not terrible by any means. She's only been in office for about 3 years. There are domestic problems, particularly on the education front. There's a shortage of teachers in certain areas. I know that's a problem which is common to the whole United Kingdom. But blaming the English will not cut it after so many years of devolution. Likewise, problems in the NHS. Scapegoating London is less and less convincing. So soft Brexit will be completed within 2 years, and if that goes well, then the SNP's case for leaving the United Kingdom will diminish considerably. They were hoping the worse the better. If Brexit was a complete clusterfuck, then that would have been good news for the SNP. They couldn't say that out loud, but in their heart of hearts they must have been praying for a calamity which would propel people into wanting to leave the UK. Anyway, UKIP, its fox has been shot. UKIP will dissolve within 2 years. Labour and the Liberal Democrats are recovering. They've got this decent leader of the Lib Dems, Sir Vince Cable. He'll probably hand over in a couple of years' time to somebody else, a younger leader, quite possibly their only female MP. And Corbyn's doing reasonably well with Labour, quite united. No attempts to oust him these days. So we know there's going to be another Westminster election, probably in 2022. After the next Holyrood election. By then, the SNP will have been in office in Caledonia for a long time, about 14 years, and Nicola Sturgeon will not be fresh-faced as First Minister either. Look at the Catalonia example. Unlike Spain, the United Kingdom permitted a vote of one of its regions, if I can call it that, nations if you wish, to leave the UK. And we know what the result was. Spain repeatedly refused to do so, despite Catalonia in 2 referendums and 1 election voting to leave. It has not been allowed. So Madrid's strategy has been to stall, and so far it's working. They've allowed passions to cool. The absolute separatists still want separation. The moderate ones are going off the idea. And to some extent, the thing that will happen in Scotland. There'll always be at least 30% of people in Scotland who want to leave the UK. But the moderate separatists are reconcilable to the idea of the United Kingdom. So the UK economy is still growing. Since this announcement that there's been a memorandum of understanding about Brexit, the pound sterling has jumped in value. If it continues climbing, that'll be fairly good news, so long as it's not too high, because that would damage tourism and exports a bit. So austerity is going to be eased off, partly because Labour and the Liberal Democrats want to do that. The Conservatives are running scared. They almost lost the Westminster election because of their continued hair shirt approach to fiscal issues. The EU looks to be in a bit of trouble for various reasons, financial trouble and all sorts of separatist movements, and there's the Catalonia issue. So leaving the United Kingdom to join the European Union is controversial. The EU's response to Brexit doesn't seem like it's going to be to reform, is ever closer union. No matter what happens, it's always the centre has got to take power from the member states. But not everyone's going to accept that, but that's what the elite want. Oil prices are still low, show little sign of coming back up. In fact, may well tumble. as Middle Eastern conflicts come to an end in Syria and Iraq, so long as there's no war against Iran. The Yemen conflict may soon be over. So there's all very bad news for the SNP's economic plans, where their projections were made at the peak of oil prices, and now we're now seem to be entering a protracted trough. Green energy is becoming more affordable and the technology is advancing. So again, that redounds to the SNP's disadvantage. Notably, the Green Party also backed the SNP on this separatist issue. But the Greens would know more than most that oil is not a good long-term prospect if you're completely banking on the oil price being high in order to fund your economic plans. The Tories will lose office one day, and so that will undercut the case for separation. And one of the separatists' lines of reasoning was, if we leave the United Kingdom, we'll never have a Conservative government again. Well, look at the strange resurrection of Tory Scotland. The Conservatives got 12 constituencies in Scotland, more than Labour and the Liberal Democrats combined. It's the most extraordinary turnaround. The Tory party was extinct as a parliamentary party in 1997 and 2001. So this idea that if you leave the UK, you'll never go Conservative government again is probably not true. There may well have to be a coalition between them and Labour or indeed the Lib Dems someday. But there is still some information which militates the direction of separation occurring one time in future. Devo Max, remember that? That was promised by the three major Westminster leaders in the referendum, and I haven't seen any progress on that. What about fulfilling that promise? People in their 30s are the most pro-separatists. Teenagers tend slightly to be pro-union. The elderly are heavily union, but geriatrics